Hello fellow Star Trek fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of 10 Forward, the Star Trek episode summary and recap series that's part of the Clonestar podcast. I am your host Mike Overton, and in this week's episode we are checking out Season 5 Episode 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks. The episode is entitled A Farewell to Farms. So, well, let's dig in, shall we? The episode starts on a serene vineyard on Qo'noS as we catch up with Ma, who's been stripped of his command following last season's Gentar mutiny. Well, now he's a disgraced farmer and faces the daily ridicule from his boisterous brother Malar, who, never misses a chance to rub salt in the wound. After dropping off blood wine delivery to the local Warrior Pit bar, Ma shares his frustrations with Kalara, a captivating Klingon woman, insisting that a true Klingon is defined by more than just their rank. The conversation then takes an awkward turn when Mariner and Boimler burst in, disrupting Ma's attempts at Klingon flirting. Boimler, ever the Klingon fanboy, eagerly joins a casual bar brawl, relishing in the chaos, whilst Mariner gets, straight to the point. She reveals that she's come to help Ma reclaim his captaincy, invoking a human custom she dubs the Edict of Unreturned Favours. It's payback for help Ma gave her and Boimler when they were stranded by Nick Locarno last season. Brad, who has a deep love for Klingon bureaucratic procedures, suggests using the ritual of Jeturg. I think that's how you pronounce that, which is used to sway stubborn oversight committee into reinstating Ma's command. They have some hope when Mariner's old drinking buddy and council member Corinne agrees to support them. However, the biggest obstacle they face is Bah, the council's leader and brother of Dorg, whom Ma killed in his rise to power. A little less than ideal. Boimler's over-the-top grovelling and smooth-headed worm-melling somehow gets them through, securing their chance at a series of grueling tests required for Ma's reinstatement. First up is the Rite of Unending Pain, where pain sticks, naturally make an appearance. Boimler's smarts and Malar's brute strength see them through. Level 2 involves wrestling, the largest target anyone has ever seen, with Malar's bolt proving once again useful. Despite these successes, Ma seems oddly detached, going through the motions with a sense of resignation. When they reach the final challenge, which demands a sacrifice, Ma shockingly volunteers himself, halting at a deeper despair. Klingon rituals, after all, not for the faint-hearted. Meanwhile, aboard the USS Cerritos, the crew are assigned to escort two Cloacan dignitaries back home. Dr. Maligmimo is on edge, eager to impress these renowned scholars from his homeworld. The guests, Sir Lenog and Madame Gonald, turn out to be, let's face it, obnoxious, snooty food critics. Captain Freeman, sensing trouble, makes a swift exit to avoid diplomatic incidents, but Maligmimo, a self-proclaimed culinary connoisseur, is starstruck and proposes a meal showcasing the best the Cerritos has to offer. Unfortunately, the dignitaries are horrified to learn that their food was replicated, branding Maligmimo a culinary heretic before storming out in dramatic fashion. To make amends, Maligmimo rallies Tendi and Rutherford to prepare a hand-cooked feast, a complex hogfish galantine. His finely tuned palate deems it a plawful as those found on Enara Prime. A high compliment, apparently. But once again, the critics are, unimpressed, this time raising the stakes and having Maligmimo arrested, threatening to exile his entire family from the prestigious Great Seating Chart for his culinary sins. Back on Qo'noS, as the Cerritos crew scrambles to save their beloved doctor, Ma confesses to Boimler that, he no longer desires to return to Bar's fleet. Boimler, ever resourceful, suggests a transfer instead, and, thanks to Mariner's connection with Corinne, it actually seems like a possibility. However, Bargs demand a showdown, forcing Ma to invoke the rite of forced conscription. What follows is a thrilling battle with an array of iconic Klingon weapons. Despite being stabbed in the back, literally by Barg, Ma's backup organs save him, allowing him to turn the tables and kill the dishonourable leader. Back aboard the USS Cerritos, Tendi uncovers a suspicious pattern in the critics' recent reviews, realising that they've been faking their expertise since losing their sense of taste. The crew swaps the dignitary's favourite amuse-bouche with, well, manure, exposing them as frauds when they heap praise on it. Faced with this humiliation, they confess their charade and begrudgingly accept Maligmimo's offer of therapy, even hinting at catering a high-end Starfleet banquet. As the two storylines converge, Mariner and Boimler return to the USS Cerritos just as the ship earns a 2-star review from the now humble Cloacans. More importantly, Mariner's secret scanning mission reveals the spaceships they've been observing, well, they're not natural and someone is deliberately creating them. With new mysteries to uncover, Boimler and Mariner leave the now bonded brothers Mar and Maylor, who are ready to embark on new inventions as captain and first officer of the soon-to-be glorious space delivery truck. The Cerritos crew sets off preparing for whichever cosmic twists lie ahead. So, there wasn't really a lot to sort of dislike this week. I didn't think there was anything really that they could have done better. The supporting cast for this week are absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy that Mary Chieffo is back. More on that in a bit. But yeah, there just wasn't really anything that I disliked. The animation was spot on, was really well thought out, and we got lots of, well, fun little tidbits and callbacks. So yeah, we can't really think of anything to hate on this week. Lots of really funny parts and really good parts of this episode. As you may have noticed, Boimler is growing a beard. I'm guessing that is after meeting his mirror universe counterpart in episode 1, which I think is hilarious because he's now got a tash this week and a little bit of stubble underneath. So it'll be interesting to see how the beard progresses throughout the season. The episode was just filled with lots and lots of sort of little funny bits. You know, we're back to throwing knives again. Lots of knife throwing. Pain sticks are back, which I thought was a lot of fun. And just all out a really, really funny, well-paced episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great to see more of the Cloacans. It's not a blob. Well, it looks like a blobfish dish was hilarious. I think one of my favourite parts about the Cloacans is where they kind of unravel the roll of tools. Silverware, cutlery, and there's obviously a knife and a fork and a spoon and something else. But there's also a tiny little sort of gold bird's beak, and they're using that to pull and sort of mash up the food before eating it, which I just thought was really funny and a really interesting way of kind of, you know, rethinking how birds eat, which I thought was fantastic, and I loved that. So yeah, lots of really funny, good parts to this week's episode. My standout moment is, well, I'm so happy that a previous guest of the Clonestar podcast, the wonderful Mary Chieffo, who is just an incredible human being, is back again reprising a Klingon role, this time as a new character, Kalara, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the little sort of snippet she has in the bar where she says, "I don't sound like L'Rell." I just absolutely loved it. Her performance this week was absolutely outstanding, and I'm so happy to share that myself and Captain Goodwill, we actually managed to get a quick 15 minutes with her this week to discuss her new role in this week's episode of Lower Decks. That episode will be out later this week, so make sure you're following us to get access to that. But yeah, standout moment this week is the wonderful Mary Chieffo is back in Star Trek. This week's episode of Lower Decks delivers another entertaining detour by diving into cultures of both Mar and the Klingons, as well as Maligmimo and the Cloacans. This episode continues the tradition of exploring side characters, a format which was first popularised by the excellent episode Red Dudge in Season 2, where Ma was introduced as the Klingon parallel to Boimler. It's a clever nod that Boimler and Ma have vineyard roots, allowing the episode to invoke the next generation's family, with the dynamic of squabbling yet loyal brothers. Ma was due for an update after his key role in Mariner's Season 4 story, but unlike the divisive peanut hamper focus and mathematically perfect redemption from Season 3, which is one of my least favourite episodes, this episode strikes a more balanced approach. Whilst Ma's journeys was the A-plot, Maligmimo's subplot also shines exploring his food-obsessed culture and giving him sort of his own character arc and growth. Crucially, the core four remain integral to the narrative, serving as comedic support for both Ma and Maligmimo. The resulting culture clashes generated much of the episode's humour, which is essential for a comedy series such as Lower Decks. The season's emphasis on character evolution continues, particularly with Boimler's growing confidence and Mariner's emerging leadership, evidenced by her orchestrating Ma's plan to reclaim his captaincy. The episode leaned heavily on guest stars, with standout performances from Paul F. Tompkins as Maligmimo and John Curry as the straight-laced Ma. Notably though, Sam Witter brought flair to his dual roles as Maelor and the snobbish critic Lennog, whilst I'm so happy to say that the incredible Mary Chieffo returned as the flirtatious Kerala, a fun contrast to her very serious character of L'Rell in Discovery. The production design was impressive, showcasing new parts of Qo'noS while staying true to the established aesthetic. We even got the first glimpses of Cloaca, with its unique birdcage complexes and floating restaurants, all set to a striking new version of the opening theme. Farewell to Farms indulges in plenty of deep-cut Star Trek references, which will delight long-term fans, like Tendy's callback to making Maligmimo fight that giant Orion in Season 4. As we approach the end of Lower Decks' final seasons, these in-jokes feel earned and a reward to us loyal viewers. The episode has also lovingly satirised Klingon rituals and expands the show's own lore by exploring Maligmimo's species in greater depth, skewering foodie culture along the way. Even with all the comedy, the episode lightly touches on the season's larger mystery, revealing that the space rifts are man-made, adding another layer into the season's overarching plot. The episode was also risky but rewarding, a mix of humour and lore, providing that even in its final season, Star Trek Lower Decks has plenty of surprises up their sleeve. The pacing keeps the episode tight, making it enjoyable for both watching and re-watching for all of those hidden details. Thanks very much for tuning into this week's episode of 10 Forward, which is brought to you as part of the Clonestar podcast. Remember, you can catch up with more Clonestar podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube, and now on our Patreon. You can join our Patreon from as little as £2, Euro or dollar a month, and once you have been a member for a minimum of 3 months, you can get one of our very exclusive Clonestar com badges, which are not available anywhere else. But until next time, make sure you look after yourselves and live long and prosper.